movie star.
Hello and welcome to Meet Me at the Movies. I am Noel T. Manning II. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Always, whether you're watching us on TV, C19 TV, that's awesome. Or if you're listening to us on radio, WGWG, we appreciate that as well.
Hey, y'all.
That is Beth Grant. Beth Grant and I have been talking over the years. We've talked on radio. This is the first time we've actually been able to talk on TV. And so very happy to have you on the show, Beth. Good to see you.
I am so glad to be here. We were just talking about before the show about running into each other at the premiere of The Irishman. And you and I talked and my husband had to drag me away from you. I told him today that we were talking. He says, uh-oh.
So now you did say that was the best thing about the premiere.
The best thing about the premiere was seeing you. We got our picture made together over by I guess it was a dummy set of like a restaurant or something where they hung out, and then we left. You were the only reason to be there in my book.
That's awesome. Well, I'll tell you, I'm so glad to have you, and it's always good chatting with you, and I just never know where you're going to show up because you are all over the place, and I absolutely love it. And so I can never keep up with all that you got going on. So when you pop up, I'm like, there's Beth.
I'm like what is a bad penny? I turn up.
No, there is nothing bad about you. You're a good penny. You're a good penny.
I'm a good penny.
Well, Beth, you have been involved in cinema and TV and stage for many years now, and when you look at your filmography, it is crazy. It is crazy.
I'm
awesome.
102. I know I look good, but I'm actually 102.
Well, you know, when we look
let
back,
me get my vaccination today because they roll her in here quick. She may not last the day.
well, you know, looking back at 2016, you were in 4 films that were all Oscar nominated films, and that was pretty amazing. But let's go way back and talk about your love of cinema and what led you to this path. And we both have these North Carolina connections as well. Pitt County, North Carolina connections.
That's right. East Carolina University for me. Of course, you didn't go to school there. You just live near there.
I live there. That's right. That's right.
I know your hometown very well. Very well indeed. And your cousin was a good friend of mine, Sonny Ballhorn. So, yeah. And I grew up in Wilmington, graduated from high school in Wilmington, North Carolina. And you remember Dr. Jenkins, Leo Jenkins, who was Chancellor of East Carolina. And his daughter and I were pages in the Senate together in 1965 and became very good friends. And I would go and visit her, you know, for the weekend, and we'd go to the ball game and go downtown to the Coach and Four and dance. They were so funny because they would play jukebox music, but they had a drummer. Boogie Norris was his name, and he's still in Greenville, I think. And he would play the drums to the music, and so it was like being with a live band, sort of. The shag and all that stuff. So yeah, but Wilmington's where I graduated from high school, and yeah, I'm an Eastern North Carolina girl, that's for sure. Wasn't born there, but I certainly adopted it. I hope they adopted me.
Absolutely. So did you enjoy going to films when you were younger, or was that path something that came to you in college?
No, I did. I can remember going, my first movie was Pinocchio, and I remember it. And I remember going with Mom and Daddy to different movies. I went to one with 3D glasses, and Mama said, do not take those glasses off. You'll damage your eyes. But of course, I was a kid, and I remember peeking up. And then, of course, everything was sort of blurry, and I went, ah! It was a Jerry Lewis movie, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I always loved movies, and my mother had wanted to be an actress, and so somewhere in my world, you know, to get her love and affection, I could say I wanted to be a movie star, and it just thrilled her to death. So that's how it started, even really before I knew what a movie star was.
Yeah.
And then, of course, over time, I had to learn to act. And I went to the Governor's School of North Carolina, actually, in Winston-Salem at the time. I think they have 2 campuses now, right? But this was in Winston-Salem, and I had a very good drama teacher in high school. And then they actually recommended East Carolina as having a great professional department. And so I went there and ended up doing a world premiere of a Romulus Linney play, Laura Linney's father, and went to New York. And so I started in New York and then came to California. But I must say, even though I love stage, and I still love stage, I love that you say love of cinema, because I have a love of cinema. The greatest honor of my entire career was being asked to join the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. And every year I really do watch, I mean, almost every single film that is eligible. And that's a lot of movies. So I try during the year to watch them as I go, because I know there's going to be a big rush. This year we have a little more time because of the pandemic. And so I've had a little leeway, and therefore I've been able to do the international films this year, which I wasn't able to do that in the past. And it's just thrilling to me to see so many women directors.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I had a theater company in New York, and I have directed, I directed a short that I felt was very filmic, very cinematic, with Octavia Spencer, actually.
I love Octavia.
She was Octavia Spencer, but she was just about to be. I mean, we all knew it was a question of time. But so I think that it is possible for women now in a way that's just thrilling to me. It really is. But I just love movies. And I got to meet one of my heroes, Claude Lelouch. I was working, was that the time? It was one. I've only been to Paris twice, so I can't remember which time it was, but we went over to tour Montmartre, and the woman, Pat, that was our guide, said, "Oh, and we're having a premiere of a Claude Lelouch movie here on Thursday night." And I said, "Oh, right here? Really?" And she said, "Do you want to go?" I said, "Well, yes." She said, "Well, you can just go buy tickets at the box office." I said, "Boy, that is not like in Hollywood. People are, selling their souls to the devil to get tickets to premiere." Right. So I did just that thing. We went over there, we bought the tickets, and we went to the premiere, and he was there.
Wow.
And I went up and introduced myself. Thankfully, he did speak English. And I have pictures of me with him. I mean, just amazing. So yes, I love cinema, and I love all kinds of cinema. I even have a healthy respect for some kind of horror movies.
Yeah.
But I can't say that I don't mind being in them. I can really watch them.
Right. I was going to say, because you've been in a few, and after the break, we'll talk about one that you're in as well, with Nicolas Cage. But we'll talk about that after the break. So what are the movies that you really appreciate watching? You said you watch everything, but is there something that's really close to your heart right now at this season of your life?
Oh gosh, it's interesting. My husband said, "Why do you keep watching these movies about death?" Well, I guess as one gets older, my acting teacher used to say everything is either about sex or death, or both.
Right.
And so, there are movies that really move me. There's a Liam Neeson one that is, I think it's called Trip to Italy, that came out this year. And that's, I think, a very personal film for him with his son. And I thought it was really beautiful. And I haven't heard very many people talking about it. There's a film from Norway called Hope that's Stellan Skarsgård. My daughter said Skarsgård must be like Smith over there, because we have so many actors who are named Skarsgård or Sarsgaard. And I've worked with quite a few of them, funnily enough. But anyway, that's really beautiful. So at this time of my life, yes, I am very interested in character-driven movies. I always was, though.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know. Maybe I've always been old.
An old soul. One of those old souls.
I do like those kinds of things. I like important movies that are, when I say important, about important themes.
Right.
Family and life and death.
Yeah.
And relationships, character-driven.
Yeah. Now, what about roles that you decide that you want to act in? how does that work for you? Because you've done, like I said, stage, TV, film. What
Well,
makes
I
that
mean,
determination for you?
yeah, there's, I like, well, it's this morning when I went to get my vaccination, I was thinking about my character from No Country for Old Men. And, I mean, a character actress from Eastern North Carolina, and I've been in 3 Best Pictures, 3. Plus, I was I voiced Rango, which got Best Animated Feature. And
Right?
I'm going, how did this little redneck ever get started, much less get so lucky? But I was thinking about her this morning as we were waiting in line, and her, saying, no place to go to. Because I was thinking, I guess we've all had this thought during the pandemic, like, I just got to get out of here. Where am I going to go? And we were on the freeway. We hardly leave the yard. And I thought, I just want to go somewhere. And I thought, where are you going to go? And I thought, no place to go to, whatever her line is. And I thought about her. I loved her immediately. First of all, it's Coen Brothers.
Yes.
So I would do anything for them.
Oh, yeah.
And then secondly, she reminded me of my grandmother.
Oh, wow.
And I just knew immediately what I wanted her voice to sound like. I just knew who she was. And the wig that they made was not exactly the Southern permed curly hair that I grew up with.
Right.
But, it was a version of that. And it was a very bold choice, but they wanted to do it. And I thought, if they want to go for it, I'll go for it. And they made a costume with beans in my bra, so I had saggy boobies. And, I had a certain walk, and I had glasses that reminded me of my grandmother's. And so that was why that one was so special.
Yeah.
Little Miss Sunshine reminded me of someone I had worked for in Greenville, North Carolina, at the Millie's Hallmark Card Shop.
Wow.
And Millie, it was in this, I was trying to think what year that was. I guess the end of the 60s, early 70s. And she had a bouffant, jet black hair do. And I just saw that. I saw Millie. And she really wasn't like Millie, although Millie was a taskmaster. I mean, you had to be on time, and you couldn't leave a minute before. And I mean, she was very good to me. So don't get me wrong, but I did think, oh, I know what to do with her. I know who she is. And Donnie Darko, it was my PE teacher. So as I talk, I guess what I love is an inspirational idea, something I can hook onto.
Yeah.
And it comes in different forms. And sometimes I don't know what to do, and I'll go through my closet and I'm just looking at clothes, and I go, oh yeah, that dress seems right. And then I'll try different hairdos. And, I have a very popular movie called Sordid Lives. It's kind of a cult movie. And that's a little bit like my grandmother too. And she has quite a hairdo, which was actually the writer-director Del Shores describes it as a French twist gone awry. Because I tried to do a French twist, but it fell over to the side. When we did the play, I had done it. Anyway, so different things, but I think mostly I'm just looking for a hook.
Gotcha.
A way that I can get in there. The hardest one I've ever tried to get a hook on was Criminal Minds.
Yeah.
It's a very popular episode called Mosley Lane with Bud Cort, plays my husband. She is the most despicable woman I have ever played. I mean, she's kidnapper, pedophile, murderer. She's the worst. And the director, Matthew Gray Gubler, who was a regular on the show, and I guess the girls really love Matthew Gray Gubler, which, I didn't know at the time. But anyway, he said, Beth, it's a fairy tale. It's a Grimm's fairy tale. And if you think about it, those Grimm's fairy tales were awful.
Yeah.
But they were cautionary tales. Right. And this is a cautionary tale to parents to watch their children, because these people are out there. I said, I'm in. Yeah. I'm in, because I know that's important.
Right. We are hanging out with Beth Grant, and if you are just tuning in, this is Meet Me at the Movies. We appreciate you. We're going to take a quick intermission. We're going to come back, talk more about Beth's love of cinema and some of her work, and we're also going to talk about the Nicolas Cage film Willy's Wonderland, where Beth is a sheriff. We're going to talk about that too before we wrap things up. I hope so. Anyway, stick around right here on Meet Me at the Movies.
They're gonna put me in the movies. They're gonna make a big star out of me.
Hi, I'm Shara Miller, the host of Artworks. Each month we bring to you wonderful, talented artists from here in Cleveland County and the region. We have artists, we have potters, we have painters, we have musicians, we have actors. We just have wonderful artists that come to you and tell you about all that they're doing, their creativity, what inspires them. Join me here on Artworks each month on C19. You can also watch us online at C19.TV.
I would tell anybody that's interested in getting broadcasting that this is a really exciting field to be in. The possibilities are endless. And every day is different. There's always something new. You're always on your toes. I think the good thing about, a school like Cleveland Community College is they're really good at keeping up with the latest technologies. My experience with the broadcasting program has been everything and more. I've hosted a television show here. I've done radio shows. I've made my own commercials, all kinds of exciting things, digital animation. And I've never thought I'd have a career in news that I enjoy. It's just really exciting to, have a career where you're in control of what 2 million people in the area are watching every night. It's really exciting and enriching and fulfilling work. It doesn't feel like a job. I get to hang around all day and make television. Just listen to that.
Now the question is, are you ready to start your journey today?
They're gonna put me in the movies. They're gonna make a big star out of me.
Welcome back to Meet Me at the Movies. Noel T. Manning II here, hanging out with Beth Grant, talking movies, talking TV, talking everything relating to acting and the entertainment world. Now, are you a singer as well, Beth? Do you sing and dance?
I do sing. I can carry a tune, and I have a very, if I don't have to project.
Okay.
I have my raspiness is not, like, I'm not a belter,
Right.
but I can sing, yes, and I have done some singing.
Okay, and dance as well. So you're
In the olden days, back in the olden days, I did some dancing. I still dance. In Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar, we had to dance. It's a shame there's not much in there because we shot so much. And my daughter was 2 years old and up on her dad's shoulders. And every time we would finish, Kenny Ortega was the director, Dirty Dancing and so on. And he would say, cut. And Mary would say, again.
Oh, I love it.
But we were voguing, and I thought I was fabulous, but there's very little in the movie. I wasn't so fabulous.
Well, we talked about several of your film roles. Was there any role that you took on that you maybe didn't expect it to speak to you or to speak to audiences like it did? And then after it was released, you're like, wow, okay, I didn't see that coming.
Huh. Let me think. Well, I will say I did predict Rain Man. I'm thinking of the big ones,
Yes.
really well. With Donnie Darko, I loved it and I knew it was fabulous, but we were released right after 9/11. And in fact, we were supposed to come out, I think in September, and they pushed us a couple of weeks.
Right.
And so we opened in October, and it's the 20th anniversary right now, actually. I just thought of that, we premiered at Sundance. So I will say that once we didn't do well at the box office, I didn't expect that it would be what it has become, which is this amazing cult hit. And the kids watch it, and then they pass it along to the younger kids, and then they pass it along. And so the following on Donnie Darko, I did not anticipate at all.
Right.
And I don't think any of us did. And of course, I'm so thrilled because I do think it's a masterpiece. I just love it so much. So that was a happy surprise.
Yeah.
I did know No Country for Old Men. I don't know. I thought Cormac McCarthy. I'm thinking of the Best Pictures, The Artist. That's one I didn't predict.
Okay.
In fact, I wasn't even going to go to the audition because, I didn't know what to do. I said, well, there's nothing to do on paper. And I said to my husband, I don't know how to do a silent film. And he said, oh, please. And he sat me down and he showed me all these Charlie Chaplin movies. And I said, oh, yeah, this is exciting. So I thank God I listened to my husband and I went. I was lucky enough, but I still didn't think it would be Best Picture.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it would come out, play a Limley theater for a week, and no one would ever hear of it again. I did not predict that it would be a Best Picture. And not only was it a Best Picture, it was a phenomenal ride because it premiered at the New York Film Festival. And then just one thing after another. I couldn't even do all of the events that they asked me to do.
Wow.
There were too many, and I was working and other things were going on, and it was much to my disappointment. And they invited, Mary was a freshman or in her first year at Juilliard, and they invited her entire class to the premiere in New York. Wasn't that nice?
Wow.
And so she feels very much a part of that. So it was fabulous. It was a great experience. So I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, yeah. There are so many films. I know it's hard to keep track of all the ones that you have done and the TV appearances as well. You know, speaking of TV appearances, you've already talked about Criminal Minds. X-Files was one of my favorite shows. You got a chance to do X-Files as well. Were there TV shows that you look back on and you're like, I'm so glad I got a chance to do that for one reason or another?
Well, yeah, you definitely, X-Files was definitely one. Friends, I was on the first episode of Friends, and it was just before I was leaving town to go to Tu Wong Fu, and so I couldn't even go to the taping. We were shooting on location, my part, and I was so sad to not get to go to the taping because I had worked for Marta Kaufman before, and I just had a good feeling about that show because you could just feel the energy of it. Everybody's chemistry was so good. And then I had to go off for 3 months, and they had talked about me recurring that I would be back, but I never got to go back. Liz, the homeless lady, never got to go back, but I'm thrilled to have been a part of that. Historical show. And there was a show called Wonderfalls. I don't know if you ever saw that. There were only 13, but I am thrilled to be a part of that because that to me was a very, very special show, way ahead of its time.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to leave out the Mindy Project, of course.
Oh, yes.
Work with Mindy Kaling and be a regular for 6 years because I really didn't have a desire because I do like doing movies. And I wasn't looking to be a regular on anybody's show. I guest starred. But I loved her so much, and I saw her genius. Now, I was totally surprised when they called, but when they did, I said, you know, I think I do want to do this because of her. Yeah. And boy, was I right. I learned so much from her. I wanted to be of service to her, and instead she was of service to me. Anyway.
She is such a talent, and and you see that. I mean, you see her comic genius, but you see it beyond that as well. Yeah. She's brilliant. She's smart. She's funny, and her chemistry with anybody she shares the screen with is there. And I think that's a tribute to her. I really, really do.
I do too. It's funny you should say that. I swear to you, I was thinking about that just yesterday because we had a talk about that one day on the set. And that's what we decided because I kept saying, oh, she has such great chemistry with Mark Duplass. Oh, she has such great chemistry with Chris Messina. And I said, wait a minute. She has great chemistry with everybody. Yes. I've never heard that said. I can't wait to pass that along to her.
Please do. You tell her your Aden, North Carolina buddy feels the same way.
I really will. I don't ever see her anymore, but I can email her. I hope she still has the same email.
Now, if someone were to ask you, because you've had all this time in acting, if someone were to come to you and say, what is a secret to good acting? What would you pass along to someone who wants to get into acting, whether it's stage or film or television or streaming?
I promise you, we must be psychically connected because just yesterday I was talking to an actress friend of mine, and we decided that the number one biggest thing, in spite of all my character work, in spite of all my training, in spite of all my everything, is to listen.
Yeah.
And I've heard it said in acting class, but it took me forever to really learn that because I'm so busy with my hairdos and my costume and learning the lines and figuring out my inner life and my outer life and what's the event and I have all this technique. And I decided really it is to listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was watching that Halifax, what's it called? Last Tango in Halifax.
Okay.
With Derek Jacobi. And he is better than he's ever been, and he's 84. And I think I have that to look forward to, because, we were talking about, I said, he listens
Yeah.
so beautifully. So that's how it came up. So
Wow, that's amazing you would say that, because I was talking to Fisher Stevens, who has directed, he's been involved in a lot of things, but recently directed Palmer with Justin Timberlake and a young talent writer,
I can't wait
Alan.
to see that. Actually, it looks
And,
fabulous.
and I was talking to him about, being an actor, but yet taking on that director's hat as well. What are some of the things he's able to share with his talent? And he said just that. He said, listening. And he said that's one of the things when he was auditioning both Timberlake and Alan together. He said he saw that connection of those two because they were listening and reacting to each other. And so a friend of mine who's been an indie film producer always said to me, he said, Noel, he said, acting is reacting. And he said, if you can get that, and that, I think that ties in with listening.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're not listening, how are you you're making up your reactions. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about this Nicolas Cage horror comedy, Willy's Wonderland, and Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage acts. I mean, he's got like a dozen films a year, much like you. I mean, I never know where Nicolas Cage is going to pop up. So, talk about your work on Willy's Wonderland and how this came to you, and some of the fun maybe you had working on.
Well,
this
I
project.
love Nick Cage. First of all, love him. And in fact, I met James Franco through him, because he was I helped him audition James back in the day before James Franco was James Franco. And I've done probably, I don't know how many movies with James Franco directing, maybe 12, a lot of little ones that didn't get distributed in the early days. But then we also had As I Lay Dying. I got to play Addie Bundren, the William Faulkner, I mean, to be a Southern woman and to get to play Addie Bundren, come on. And we premiered at Cannes Film Festival. So that came from Nick indirectly, because that's where it was called Sunny, the movie we were doing. But anyway, I also did Matchstick Men with him.
Beth Grant, our guest right here on Meet Me at the Movies. Really appreciate you spending time with us. So glad we got a chance to do this. Any final thoughts or comments that you want to share with our audience?
Oh, no, I just think that they are very lucky to have you. You really are one of my favorite people in this business that I've met. And it's not just because you're from Ayden, North Carolina, although that's a plus. That's definitely a plus. But I could sing the North Carolina state song, Carolina, Carolina, heaven's blessings attend thee. This is my favorite line. Though the scorners may sneer at, we'll protect and defend thee. I know the whole thing. I made my Yankee husband learn it before he came to the South, and everywhere we went, I would make him stand up and sing it.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. That is so awesome. Beth, thank you. I just appreciate you so much, and I just love our time together. Please tell your family. Please tell your family hello, and we appreciate everybody spending time with us right here on Meet Me at the Movies. Beth Grant, she is awesome. She is.
I'm a character.
She is dang awesome. Dang awesome.
Thank you so much for calling.
Till next time, I'm Noel T. II. That's a wrap.
In person for those hugs. Okay.
Thanks,
Bye,
Beth.
darling.
Appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you.